So we've been building potentially the coolest Porsche 928 that the internet has ever seen. Is that true?
Probably.
I don't know. I'm gonna roll with it anyway. Last week, we worked on the rear spoiler. We finished that off, and now it is done, and it can just sit back there and vibe until we're ready to tackle the rear bumper and the bottom corners of the quarter panels. But this week, we're working on the front end of the car. As you can see here, this quarter of the front of the car is still in clay. This is automotive-based clay that is actually made for this purpose. It doesn't dry, it's oil-based, but it's time for us to finally remove it. It's been sitting on here as an eyesore for far too long, and I am stoked to finally have all four corners of the car in metal. So the scope of today's video is to remove the front bumper. We're gonna try to preserve this as much as we can because we're still working with another company with the bumper mold and plug design work. And also we're gonna remove all the clay on this and get started on making the driver's side fender. So everyone can clap because this is a big deal for us. We're gonna actually be able to make this fender out of aluminum now, and I'll finally be able to put on our custom augment wheels phone dial on the front here. This has been driving me insane being on the OEM wheel. Aside from the whole, ignore this. My eyes are down here. All right, so I gotta remove the bumper. I'm gonna do the best I can to not ruin any of the clay or anything, mainly at least in this area, because we're still working on the inner workings of the light housing here. But I gotta remove this bumper so that I can work on the rest of the fender here. And I also need to 3D scan the mounting points that are underneath for the guys that are modeling and working on our front bumper plug. And we'll get into all the bumper stuff later when we have the plug, which should be relatively soon. Now, there are a couple challenges here. Example A is this clay here does not need to stay anymore. I'm gonna be taking it all off. However, this piece here, I did 3D scan, I have all the data. I wanna try to preserve it a little bit. And underneath this tray is vice script / cleat to the body of the car. I have no idea what's going to happen when I detach it. Also planning to keep the pop-ups, so don't worry about that. Or if you are worried about that and saying that you hate them, well, sorry, we like them. I understand both sides of the argument, honestly. You may be noticing that I have a nice fresh Crucible Coachworks shirt on, front and rear, and Tony's wearing the old style. These will be available soon. So keep an eye out if you're looking to support the channel or looking for some new duds, as Tony would say.
I wouldn't say, but I did say, yes.
We'll have a store up soon. We also have more shirt designs coming as well. So if the whole like shop style shirt isn't your thing, you want more of a graphic tee, there's a graphic tee coming out as well. And it's related to something, to a big role in the channel, so. It's so sad, isn't it? All that work, and now we're just literally throwing in a trash bag. To be kept for future endeavors, of course. We're not throwing it away. Because it's reusable, even if it's a conglomerate of clay I don't like so much compared to the new clay, but that's okay, I can't be too picky, right? That's oak clay. Sad day. But it's also exciting. Hello there. So, clay's off. That's a big deal. I got my safety glasses on because now it's time to cut out the arch here. And by cut out the arch, I mean just oversized cut for now, so I can actually put the real wheel on that we're putting on the car, and be able to use the edge of that for mocking up the new fender. And by mocking up the new fender, I mean the fender we're going to make. There's no new fender yet. We'll be making it in this video. But I want to cut this back so I can actually be able to put the real wheel on, because right now, the wheel just hits the arch. And the lift is slowly bleeding down like my soul. Look. What do I do with this now? This video has been paid for and sponsored by Aura. Anyone can find anything on the internet, including your full legal name, personal email, home address, phone number, or even your relatives. This information is available because of data brokers who sell your information. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura will identify data brokers who are exposing your information and automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf. They'll even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. You can use our link aura.com/crucible to try 2 weeks for free on us. And also see how many data brokers are sharing your information. It's linked below. I felt so alive after that dramatic spin around there. Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll need all inside one app. You'll be shocked at how much information Aura finds exposed over those 2 free weeks. Somebody could be stealing your private information or your identity right now. Now I can get these lights out. Fun stuff, huh? Ah, hoopla. In this video, I say hoopla a ton off camera, then I say it once on camera and it just looks weird. Hoopla! 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 Oh look, I found a bee's nest. Or a wasp nest. Hello? Anybody home? I'm gonna tell you what, Logan. When we design our lights that are going in here, they are not gonna be this annoying to take out and put back in. That's for sure.
Good idea.
There's like 4 nuts holding in this one light. I think the funniest part about all this is that this car's on a lift. And I could raise it up
Yeah.
right now and make my life a little bit easier.
Working on the floor.
If you ever want to get into 3D scanning parts in your car, to do any modeling, to make your own custom parts, maybe this little segment in the video will help you. Or maybe not. I don't know, I'm still kind of an amateur at it. Step 1 is, we have glossy surfaces on this vehicle and we gotta make them unglossy. Is that a word? Unglossy?
It is now.
But it is now. We're gonna make them unglossy so that the scanner can pick it up well. I'm gonna use leak trace powder because I have it sitting here. It's literally for tracing leaks. Probably a little more expensive of an option, but it's just sitting around. You can use like talcum powder or baby powder or whatever, it works as well. I obviously don't happen to have any of those in this building, so this will work for me. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hit the reflective surfaces that are nearby so we can get a good scan. You know what? I'm scanning this one with the hood open. I don't even need to hit the hood. You'll have that on these bigger shops. So the goal in this scan is to get all the mounting points for the new bumper mapped out so that this scan can be layered over the other scans and the bumper that's being modeled right now. When you use a powder or anything else, it's nice because you can easily remove it afterwards. This stuff's the same, a little bit of solvent and a rag, or I think even water will take it off. So, no biggie. I took out these lights here so we can get this in the scan as well. So when this scan is layered with the other scans and the bumper that's being made, they can do the light bucket modeling as well and know what kind of space they have inside here. Throw me. Look, I just removed our nest here. There's red paint on it from whenever the car was repainted forever ago. They just painted right over it. How funny is that? I went through with a marker and it's kind of made some points that I can use for reference, because when I scan it, I'm gonna have the texture setting on so I can see the textures. Because I can't do all this in one scan. So what I'm gonna do is scan a section, then scan another section. This scanner that I'm using, which is the Creality CR-Scan 01, is a very cheap scanner. It gets the job done, but it's not meant for large format scanning. You have to actually stitch scans together, which is not a big deal. Eventually I'm gonna upgrade to a spicier scanner, but they're very expensive, as many of you may know. I do recommend this scanner based off my experiences. However, this is the only scanner I've used. So when I scan this, I'm gonna use reference points as I go along to align the scans to each other, which the program itself will do. This is give it a little extra security to make sure it's accurate. stop it. Boop. So if I zoom in on the scan we have right now, really all it is an array of dots. But by looking at my dots, and I zoom in here, you can see I got the holes I need for the mounting points. Pretty well mapped out. Now I gotta align these two scans. You know, they look so pretty. Individually they look nice, but as you can see, they're all crazy. I'm gonna align them now using the program. So we lost one of the headlights in the processing here because of the repair function. But look at that. That is a very viable and usable scan for all the mounting points, I would say. Look at that. You can even see the tops of the clips here where the center of the holes are. Handy. Yeah.
That's better than like a PS2 game.
Yeah, it really does. Maybe even PS3.
Yeah,
maybe.
really.
Throw the right shaders on there and it'll look way better. So now that that's all taken care of, it's scanned, I'm gonna close this up and we're gonna make a Fender. I'm excited. Genuinely, I actually am excited.
Alright, good.
It's gonna be tough. But if it were easy, everybody would do it. That was way dustier than I expected it to be. So we have our Fender here, right? This is an aluminum Fender that we handcrafted and it's cleat-coated up on the car. So now what I need to do is replicate this Fender but mirror it for the other side. Today we're gonna use tape. Now Ray Schlane from ProShaper is often attributed to creating the tape pattern. Now I personally have not taken one of his classes, however I am familiar with the method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay tape out in a very specific manner that locks in the shape of what we have already created, and I can also take some notes along the way for any of the detail points like the edges and any other different radii throughout the panel. And then after that, we're going to use that, we're going to flip it inside out, and you'll see the magic of the tape pattern. So what I'm doing is using this lower tack masking tape, and I'm getting it as close as possible to the previously ran strip of tape without overlapping it, best I can anyway. This will get me the most accurate reading off of the parent material that I'm looking to copy. You're probably wondering, why is Ryan using only 1-inch wide tape? The thinner your tape is, the more data you're going to get and retain. If I use wider tape, it's gonna be as fine of a copy of the original panel. I was originally gonna use a marker to mark my points, but then I remembered I can use fine line tape. So I'm just gonna run it along all the edges. And that's gonna help me determine like this edge here. Things like that, that'll be easier to transfer if I have it labeled. Now that we're all labeled, I only have 2 partial rolls of this tape left. It's like a packaging tape. It's a reinforced see-through tape. What I gotta do now is go against the grain. So if I have it going that way, I'm gonna go this way, or even that way is okay. But I'm gonna lock in masking tape underneath with this clear tape. It's a package tape. It's very strong, and it also, like, it doesn't have any give. Like, it's not stretchy or anyway. It's very firm. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna make sure I overlap each pass, and we'll have a pattern then. So I have it flipped in upside down right now, obviously. This is sticky side up. You'll see that it holds the memory of the panel I pulled it off of. This is like pulling this stuff up in the air. It's all wrinkly because it wants to be shaped a certain way. This is flaring out. This is all good stuff. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the tack on the back by just a couple ways to do that. I could rub it on the floor, get some dust on it, or I could use like leak tracing powder, like I used earlier for the 3D scanning. I'm just gonna dust it on there really quick. That's the way I like to do it. Doesn't get all dirty. I'm gonna use this pattern to start with. I'll lay it flat and trace it and cut out the sheet metal. However, I can check as I go with this pattern. So I'll be able to flip it inside out and I'll be able to lay it onto the sheet metal. And if it lays without wrinkling or making big like floating spots or whatever, I know that I'll be making a direct copy. Be trying not to get it all over the table, but
If he dies, he dies.
if he dies, he dies. See, you know, that's how I live my life with any activity I do.
Oh.
Storms are coming.
It's like, I see the dust floating off into the air.
So now I have my outside marked on. I'm gonna take a punch and I'm just gonna tap along my detail lines here. So I have a line that runs across here. Take a punch. I'm gonna transfer it through the tape. That's showing up, yep. I'll do it hard enough I can see it, but not so hard that it's gonna be a pain to work out later. It's very soft aluminum, so it doesn't need too much. I'm probably overdoing as it is. I think it's time to finally lay pepper the rest. This tortured soul has
Seen enough.
it's seen enough. There's a single pass on the Liebert here doing with the thumbnail shrinking dies. These are Delrin shrinking dies, which are made out of Delrin, surprise, so that it doesn't mar up the panel as much. Obviously it's gonna wrinkle it, but it's not gonna chew into it as much. So now that it's shrunk on the edge, you can see it wants the curve. That's what we're looking for. So I think after I fold it over, it should stretch back out a little bit and it'll be close to where it needs to be. At least enough that I can roughhouse it. We'll find out. It's probably hard to see on camera, but I had already done measurements for each point here, from this edge to where this edge starts, where this peak is, right? So 285 millimeters, 285, 285, 285, 283, 280, etc. So what I'm doing now is I'm Clecoing this, so where I know, okay, so this F point here is 285. So if I put this here to there, you'll see it's 284, 285, give or take. I mean, half a millimeter variance, not a big deal, and it's also gonna get worked in anyway. So that's consistent throughout here now. But you can see, I have this line defined, Cleco down roughly, and you see these floating spots? That means there's too much material for that to be able to sit down how I want it to be. So I'm gonna have to go through, and like this area here, like here to here needs more shrink, about here actually. Here to here needs more shrink. This is pretty good. There's a little bit more shrink needs to be done here. But that's how I can kind of read what's going on. However, I'm merely just roughing it in right now. So I might even leave that alone just for a little bit because this is gonna get twisted all over the place soon. And that might change something. This might start to 6. Look, it's almost like a Fender now. It's very rough, but it's almost like a Fender now. We squint. You know what time it is? It's Roger time! It's so rigid now. Amazing if we put a little bit of shape in a panel does. Especially when you put it in the right places. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how the Fender's sitting. It definitely needs work. It is not finished by any means, but it is a good starting point. So, I already have a pattern from the other side for the piece that goes here. This piece is much more simple, so I'm just gonna get started on it. And I don't have to do any patterning because I already have one.
Yeah.
Is that this fun, Logan? You know the drill. Give it the old smack down on the table. By smack down, I mean I just bend it by hand. Corners there. You go rah, it helps. See, look, I already got a line there. Easy peasy. Don't say I only use fancy tools when I do my work because I'm using a beat-ass wooden table here and my body to bend this. I have like very little pressure in the bead roller. I don't want it to like thin out the metal too much. I'm purely having enough pressure so that it grabs. So when I have a situation like that, I can back up and go again, and it's not imprinting it so badly that I can't clean it up. This is gonna taco a little bit until I stretch out that corner, because now that I bent that over, it's just gonna be stretched out to relax. I could have pre-stretched it, but I was feeling kind of wild. You know what happens. So this is an offset anvil. You can tell, if you look from the front here, Logan, you can kind of tell how the edge is the contact surface, so you can wheel up against like a 90-degree angle or whatnot. Whereas a normal anvil, it's usually dead center of the anvil. So this allows me to get shape up against really tight angles and is actually relatively important to have. Now you can do that with other ways like a hammer and dolly, other shaping tools. However, I love this tool. That anvil is super helpful. And just like the other wheel anvils, I have to be very careful not to buckle stuff or use too much pressure, especially with aluminum. What do you think, Logan? Think we did it?
Sure did.
We done did it. We have a fully roughed in driver fender. We still have the inside of the vent here to make. And there's gonna be details up front that will come along with the bumper. So I think that we are far enough as we can go safely for now that it continues to keep us efficient. I still need to go through and hammer dolly a bunch of stuff, level things out, adjust wheel arch a little bit, then be sure to check back because we'll be starting a brand new Porsche 911 project very soon. You can see it in the background right now, I think. Can you see the background, Logan?
Maybe.
As always, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the like button if you love us and you want to support us. Keep your eyes out as the store will be opening soon. We'll have this shirt available along with our gray Crucible Coachworks shirt and more shirts coming on the very close horizon and other merch as well. All that will go to support us and help us continue to make high-end, as I consider high-end, content for our channel and keep you guys in the loop of our projects. And finally, if you're still watching right now, you probably remember last week we gave away a like $1,300 welder for free to one of you guys. Well, guess what? We have another welder we're gonna be giving away, and it's a different welder from Eastwood. So we'll be giving out more information on that as well next week. So stay tuned, guys. We really love your support and are appreciative of you, and we'll catch you next Saturday.